What's going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to another E3 2018 coverage video. I hope that this one finds you well, as I do with every video that I make, and today we're going to be talking about Xbox and PlayStation because it is essentially the same age-old story as Batman and the Joker, as Spider-Man, and any of the other amazing villains that were shown off in the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man trailer. There are so many different kinds of scenarios that we can compare them to, but essentially they are pretty much going head-to-head, and they always have, and more than likely they always will. However, at this year's E3, we saw a striking difference between the Xbox show and the PlayStation show. Of course, they have always been a bit different, and over the past couple of years, PlayStation has shifted the way that they do, put on their show. But this year was definitively different, and I thought that it really did highlight the different kinds of approaches that Xbox and PlayStation are taking to marketing their games. At the Xbox show, we had 50 games that were shown off, we had 18 games that were exclusives, and 15 world premieres that saw their first light of day at the Xbox press conference, and then we saw the tease of whatever the next Xbox is going to be. Of course, there was more talking in between there and some discussions about indies and whatnot, but essentially, it was your cookie-cutter kind of press conference. Nothing really to write home about. It is what you would expect from E3, which is, again, perfectly fine, but it just showed off some games, a lot of games, and it did get people excited, and it effectively marketed everything that they were showing off. With the Sony show this year, it was kind of a strange setup. You began with The Last of Us Part 2 gameplay, which looks beautiful, I might add. Then there was an intermission with a bit of a talk show, and then more games were shown off. To be fair, the format of it did kind of kill the overall flow of the show, but the games still came through and did showcase what PlayStation 4 is going to be bringing to the table. But we didn't get 50 games. We didn't get necessarily 18 exclusives. What we got is an in-depth look at some of the biggest games that are coming to PlayStation. This is literally the entire lineup of the show. You had The Last of Us Part 2, a little bit of talk about Destiny 2 and Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Ghost of Tsushima, a new game called Control. Then we also had the Resident Evil 2 remake, but it's just called Resident Evil 2. Trevor Saves the Universe, a weird Rick and Morty kind of inspired game. Interesting little thing. Death Stranding, a huge look at that game. Nioh 2 revealed, and Spider-Man. That's essentially the majority of the big announcements. A couple of VR games here and there, and of course the weird showcase of Dreams in the form of short, weird intermission things. But that was pretty much the entirety of it. It was short, sweet, and to the point. We got some games, we got in-depth looks at some games that we truly do care about. In a way, Sony is focusing on doing one thing very well. They are nailing one specific thing, while Xbox, on the other hand, is doing fairly well with a lot of other things, where they're spreading it out and kind of making sure they cover as much area as possible. It just depends on what kind of approach the company does want to take. Both can be effective, both can market your products very, very well, but they are two very drastically different approaches that could be a bit jarring for those that are used to the standard kind of E3 conference. At the end of the day, the games are what really matter. That is what we are all there for, and to be quite honest, Xbox and PlayStation both brought some incredible games to their show. I would say that considering the format of Sony's conference this year, that Xbox and PlayStation are just about on the same level, in my opinion. Of course, that is something to be debated, that's something to be discussed, and we might talk about that later, but they both brought the heat this year, and it's very impressive to see that their marketing strategies, although different, are being effective. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you did, drop me a like down below, and in the comment section, let me know what you think about PlayStation and Sony. Of course, public service announcement, my morning show Caffeinate starts back up tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be covering all of the hottest news that you may have missed from E3 2018 and kind of this big rundown of all of the biggest stuff. It's going to be a good time, but on top of that, if you happen to be new to the channel, there are a ton of videos, a huge playlist of E3 coverage. Just go watch it. I'm very proud of it. But I love you guys very much. Thanks for watching. Peace.